Hit me!
Show number 397.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means
Show
you're the one
number
that's out of the zeitgeist.
397.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Tony Abdullah. It's a tech podcast, but we're a shit ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. And now, here's Will and Tony.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
Wee doggies, how is that for an intro, everybody? Oh my gosh, Tony, you're legit. You're what the kids call bona fide now. Your name is in it. How do you feel?
It's nice. I've got my own intro when I'm not Trent.
There you are. Exactly. As a matter of fact, Tony, one of the things that I do when I'm sitting here switching the program live, because, you know, I like a little challenge. Yeah, we can go to the two shot. We can get really lazy. Now I'm free to relax. I don't need to worry about it so much. But, you know, I still need to know that things are going. But anyway, I can put up this two shot to be lazy. But what I use are some stream decks, right? And I'm super excited for some of the stuff we're going to talk about today because I got something that I think is going to be a better setup. It's going to save me some desk space, which I think everybody who might be a home content creator might like a little advice on. So we'll throw that your way, guys. But the other reason why I'm excited about it is because on the Stream Deck, instead of NetHeads intro minus Trent, it now says NetHeads intro plus Tony. How do you like that?
I'm a plus. I like it.
You're my plus one, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you might like that. I'm super pumped for today because, you know, every day's a fun day if you're hanging out with some netheads. Hello, special shout out to ZB in the chat. Our stale, what is it? Our evergreen, our anchor. The thing that helps keep us grounded. He's always there joining us. And why do I say that? Because if you're listening to this as a podcast or you're watching this after the fact, one, thank you very much because, Lordy, why? But two, you know, we actually do, for some reason, I think it goes all the way back to my early obsession with radio, Tony. That's what it's really about. I love the element of live broadcasting. I don't know why. There is a certain something about it, a certain finality as well, because with the internet that never gets you're our stalwart. Good one, Zach. It can never truly go away once it's on the internet, and live helps keep you to having a certain discipline. You know what I mean? That little that little thing in the back of your brain that says, go ahead, say it. And then you're like, you know what? No. I'm not going to say it. Why? Because I'm broadcasting live. I can't take it back.
Right.
That discipline is there. Little background on that intro you guys just heard, the brand new intro. That is actually, I went through an interesting exercise because I wanted you to have your own theme when we're doing the show. But I thought, you know what? Let's put this to the test. I don't think this is going to be the final version, but I reached out to the guy that did the recording originally of the intro that everyone is actually used to with Trent. Let's see. Can I do one that's just me now? No, I can't. I don't have that set up. But I reached out to the guy that originally did it because I wanted to have it to have the same voice and kind of the same tone. What nobody knows, that's a guy I found on Fiverr. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
And he just needed to know back then, he's just like, give me the bullet points of the show and I'll put it together. And he did everything. Okay. All I said is it's a tech podcast. Here are some of our log lines. What do you got? And he does all the sound effects and all the imaging. So I'm like, let's see what happens if we go with the same guy, if we can find him. Because I did not know this until he asked, oh my gosh, how long ago was that one? Because I sent it to him as reference.
Right.
2014, Tony. That is 11 years ago? How is that 11 years ago?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
right.
for making me feel old again.
I guess special shout out
Yeah.
Miranda Janelle as well, and Midnight Smoke in the chat joining us live here for NetHeads. If you guys missed the intro, boy, I wouldn't want to send you to go back and listen to it now, but we got a new intro with Tony.
Oh
So
yeah,
the whole
I'm playing
reason
this
why I
episode
bring,
over and over again at this point now. It's just.
I mean, if you think that's exciting, then tomorrow you should play it back while sitting on the smodcast.com page for NetHeads, where you will actually be one of the listed co-hosts as well. So congratulations, you're going to be on Kevin Smith's sites.
You honor me, sir.
So that was 11 years ago. Now, let me tell you something. When I listen to the new intro, I hear every bit of 11 years in that guy's voice, okay? Much in the same way that I listen to old stuff now, and I hear it in mine as well. Even though I will say, if you go back to like that episode where we first played the new intro back in 2014, which somehow 11 years ago,
Right.
I have more of a pronounced lisp because I had dental work done. I had a tooth taken out. Everything was aligned. Things were moved away from my tongue. I wasn't making as many impacts. So I can hear the difference in my voice now. I can hear a lot more sighing and a lot more lip smacking in my voice now because I got an older man's mouth, I guess. I don't know how that works, but it's true.
So like there's a little bit of a lisp. So like welcome to NetHeads. It
wasn't. No, that was when I was having to wear the damn Invisalign after the corrections.
Okay.
But I can hear it in his voice. I can tell because he was not, look, I'm not saying he wasn't a spring chicken in 2014. I'm just judging from his thumbnail. But, his avatar on Fiverr, I'm just saying you can hear a little bit more because it happens to all of us.
Sure.
You get a little bit older, things change. You start to have a little more of a slur or a grumble to your voice when you get older. And I can hear it in his, so I might shop it around for others. Now, some of you may say, well, with this voice you've got, this voice that my voice is probably, the robots and my voice are probably one of the only reasons they're here unless they know you, okay? And you may say, why do it yourself? Because I think it's corny if you're announcing yourself for your own show. That's just me. Not that I'm saying, if you're doing a rundown.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it just sounds more legit. I'm just saying that's why I do it. But I may shop it around to a few other Fivers that are willing to do it just to see what we'll play some Fiverr roulette. I'm gonna burn through some of our Patreon subscribers support money just to come up with new jingles. So hopefully they don't suck. And by the way, I want to give a special shout out to Mark Wright, who is our Patreon sponsor of the week. This week. You can see his name there in our show description, everywhere it is and everywhere it goes out to. But man, I tell you, hearing that guy, his new take on it, because the other one, it's interesting when you think about it, because now he's just more oriented on podcast. Before, he was like, it was more of the nerd sound with all of the nerdier things that were going on in it. Now, it's just like cut and dry, and it's more metal. We're trying to be metal. We're trying to be, urgent. And I don't know if it's playing off, but that was a fun thing. I must say, for those that aren't Patreon supporters, one of the things our Patreon supporters get, patreon.com/NetHeadsOnAir. If you are a member of the Patreon, you get some bonus video and audio at the beginning and at the end, depending on your level. And I did ask Tony's permission. I said, look, I want your permission. I know you don't know what I'm doing, but during the title card, I would like to cut to you. Yay or nay? He said yay. And then I said, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to see your reaction no matter what. Nobody else does. And the look of pure glee and amusement, you look like a kid that just opened up the gift they wanted on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Not that I'm saying an intro to NetHeads is something you've been dreaming about, but in the moment, it seemed like it was a very good payoff.
No, and I'll be honest with you. It's always funny because whenever Thursdays come, my family asks the question, are you going to be on NetHeads with Will? And I'm like, and sometimes I go, Trent can do it. That's great. And I've never wanted to take Trent's place. I've always just wanted to be here that way. You can do what you want to do and I have fun doing it and you're part of fandoms. But there's something about going from what I was expecting where it's always with Will and Tony and, you jumping in there to actually, and when I heard the voice, I'm like, that's the guy who did the intro to NetHead. I'm like, Will and see, for those of you who don't know, Will and I will text message, and every so often we will like there'll be like a pause, and then it's just because life got in the way, and then all of a sudden we'll start texting again, and we're showing pictures of 3D prints and whatever else we're doing, or what our computer desks look like.
Indeed.
And last night, Will's asking me, "How do you pronounce your last name?" And he thought he was pronouncing it right, and I'm like, "No." I'm like, I stopped correcting people, and I'm glad we had that conversation, because if I would have heard it in audio and you paid for, the intro and it was Abdullah instead of Abdullah, I'm very thankful that you pushed me, because I would have let it slide. Yeah, but no.
Yeah,
thank you.
now people listening to you on smodcast.com will know your name, which is why the title of this week's episode, for lack of anything better, is What's in a Name? Because the moment I found that out, you're like, I just stopped correcting people. Well, stop doing that. Because one, make sure people recognize your name the way you expect it to be said to you. And two, not for nothing, in the current political environment, let's make it Abdullah all you want, my friend. Okay? Let's not have that emphasis at the beginning, because that's just, I'm just saying, with presidential pardons and everything else, hey, who knows what'll happen in the world. So let's stick with that. Anyway, man, how are you doing? Last time we talked, we did a special show. I didn't know which way I was going to go with it, right? I didn't know if it was going to be a regular episode or what, because it was really just two TikTok addicts sitting around on a Saturday night and having the app go dark on them, and our reaction. That's all it was. We ended up making it episode 396. This is officially 397. And that means we're 3 away from 400, which means I have been around for 399 of them. There's only, I think, one episode of NetHeads ever that I didn't appear on, I think. But I may have introed it as well, because there was a special panel show that Trent did when I got sick and couldn't get out to Salt Lake Comic-Con. That's not what they call it anymore, though. What do they call it? It is Fan Expo. Nope, not Fan Expo. That's Fan Expo guys. What does Salt Lake call theirs? They have a specific name for it. Anyway, doesn't matter. No reaching over. The internet will tell us. Oh, Smoke, I'm so sorry I needed to see you go because you got an early morning. Peace, be well, sir. If you're still in there in that last 2 minutes. Anyway, I didn't make it, and there was a hashtag no Will Wilkins episode, which is funny when it's an episode that wasn't me, but also I was getting a bit of ribbing because I didn't make it out. Sick or not. So, oh well. But that's, I think, the only one that I wasn't present for. So, at 401, I'll have done 400 episodes. But I've also done more, because there are also occasionally, at this point, I would say, there's Patreon exclusives. But where was I going with all this? Anyway, over the past 2 years, I think you've more than earned having your name officially in something that's recorded and a part of the show. You are part of the program, okay? And honestly speaking, anybody that watches it, I always appreciate this, but realistically speaking, all everyone is doing is sitting in on the conversation between me and my friends. That's all it really is. Unless it's the very rare unless it's the rare, what the hell was I talking about? I made the mistake of looking at my watch. I'm sorry, guys. I got noticed somebody I think was leaving my house, or somebody was on my porch, and I blanked. What was I talking? You should be on the show. 400 episodes.
It's always you talking about Friends, with the exception of.
Oh, the very rare time I'm actually interviewing somebody. You know what I mean? Like when 2 years ago.
Tales of the Mogwai.
Yes, which I had. I will be honest, okay? And this is probably not the kind of thing you want to say out loud, but they approached me again for season 2, and I passed on it. I didn't want to take that slot. Look, man, I had my bite at the apple. I got to talk to Ming-Na Wen. Now, honestly, with my background, I guarantee you she probably would have remembered me, because they would tell her it's Will from Kevin Smith's thing, and then she would see the background, and there would have been a connection. Director probably would have remembered me too. But at the time, mentally, I just wasn't there. Okay. I don't know if it was imposter syndrome, or, I was looking at the podcast numbers and I'm like, why bother kind of thing. Even though, the numbers really are diversified across a few different networks. But It's not what we launched to, but even that number comparatively for a Smodco podcast production, we are literally the bottom of the barrel, I think, as far as it goes. But it's not like he's got a full network of podcasts anymore. Anyway, my whole point being, I've been here for almost all of them, and it's always me talking to friends. I think, obviously if the conversation didn't go well the first time, we probably wouldn't be talking now, but we've also gotten to know each other and everything else. So that's really what NetHeads is about. It's about that. But, sometimes you're just not mentally up to do some things. Speaking of which, Tony, I got to ask you, okay? Because I think this is an excellent question for me to ask you. What have you been doing about your mental wealth in 2025?
Well, with things being different, with everything that's been going on in life, probably one of the biggest things is I'm trying to get more sleep.
That is an excellent thing
Yeah.
to do. It's an excellent way to invest. I've never realized the importance of sleep until I've been seeing all the data. I am what you call a data hound, okay? I have for the longest time, when it comes to health and wellness products, if you think I'm addicted to robots, which, by the way, later on I'm going to make you guess how many I have in this house. We'll see how much you've been paying attention. We'll
Do we
see
count
how
the
accurate you
vacuums?
think you are. No, I'm not going to count robot
Oh.
vacuums. But later on, I'll ask you about that. But now I've got, for Christmas, I got the Aura ring. See, since I talked to you, we haven't really talked about stuff.
We haven't talked about technology at all.
No, I got the Aura ring because of other things. I've got a Lumen. So, my breath tells me whether I'm burning calories or carbohydrates or fat. And then my ring tells me the quality of sleep I got. So does my watch. Hell, even my bed does. Okay. And I've never realized the impact more of sleep on your mental wealth, not health, wealth. You will be more prosperous if you get better rest. And the interesting thing is that the good folks at Magic Mind have said, hey, Will, did you know that not only do we have that amazing adaptogen and neurotropic Magic Mind, shot, we've got Magic Mind sleep as well too. Now, for those that don't know, this way you're able to double up, Tony. Okay,
Right.
You can actually start your morning off taking your regular old Magic Mind, and that's going to help give you mental clarity. If you're a coffee drinker, it'll help your coffee's caffeine carry longer because it's going to help open up the receptors that are blocked off when you drink coffee. Okay, not to mention all those wonderful cordyceps, the lion's mane mushroom, and the like. All things that will help you focus, to help give you mental clarity. Well, now they've got a sleep shot. And if people are wondering, hey, aren't you worried about drinking these random things? No, I'm not. Why? Because these things are tested. A board of I think 200 doctors or something have reviewed and certified the results. They have amazing organic mushrooms and the like that are grown in California. Everything is scientifically tested. So, but when I looked at the ingredients, I'm going to just tell you some of the ingredients that are in Magic Mind Sleep. You drink this 30 minutes before you go to bed. Okay, before you want to be asleep, but it doesn't have any of that melatonin stuff. Okay, I don't know about you. I'm grouchy in the morning when I take melatonin. No melatonin, but what it does have to help you relax, St. John's wort. Okay. I've taken that on its own for this. I'm like, well, that's a good ingredient.
Yeah.
That's a quality thing to
It's
help you
tried and
rest.
true. It's been tested.
Exactly.
People use it.
I swear, you look at the stuff going on in Magic Mind and you're like, I think they've really turned the eye that's appropriate to Western medicine. And they're really looking back to what's been known and tested over many years. Another one of them. So there was that. Then there was valerian root. That helps you go to sleep. Natural sleep aid. That's another one of the ingredients. And this other big one. And I'm just telling you 3 of them, guys. 3 of them. Okay? Yep. The third one is magnesium. I'm going to say this part wrong. Bicyglinate. Okay. Look it up, guys. There's a specific type of magnesium that helps you get better rest, and that's one of them. And that's present in there. And I know this because you know what? I'm actively taking magnesium 2 times a day right now, in the morning and at night, so I maintain an appropriate level. Between that and my weighted blanket, man, I have been sleeping like a baby. And I'll tell you something too. So far, I've used it for a week, okay? And I've had it for a week and change. And during that time, the nights that I have not taken it, I have had worse sleep. I am not kidding.
Sure.
That's how much I believe it. So guys, let me tell you, it's really simple. You can go in the show description, you can go down there, or you can just go to magicmind.com/netheadsjan for February. We're not obsessed with Jan from the Brady Bunch. No, that's not it.
It's not Jan in accounting?
No, we're not big
Nope.
fans of Jan hooks. Okay? None of that. No, it's NetHeads Jan. magicmind.com/NetHeads Jan. You can get up to 45% off the Magic Mind bundle with that link, so you can take advantage of getting like some Magic Mind for the morning, some Magic Mind sleep for the night. And it is amazing. And I also want to thank the NetHeads. Because of you guys, that's the reason why Magic Mind has come back to help support the show by giving me better sleep and better waking moments. So thank you guys, because last time I saw the numbers and we did a bit of business. So right on. So that's it. magicmind.com/netheadsjan. Take advantage of it. Read up on the information. As the kids like to say, do your own research, but in a good way. It's a good quality product. I absolutely love taking it. So I would highly recommend you too. You're like, that's great. Well, now that my name is in the show, that means I get some of the Magic Mind too. No, I'm hoarding it for myself.
No, I'm probably, when paycheck comes, I'm probably going to be getting some myself. So there's no problem there, because honestly, trying to get extra sleep, getting better sleep is the easiest resolution you could have. And it's still early enough to be able to do it.
Let me tell you something. That is one of the things, because if you're a person that's like, if you want to start going to bed sooner, this is the type of thing you could try, because you can take it 30 minutes before you want to try to go to sleep. If it helps you, great. But it will definitely help you while you're sleeping. If you're a person that's limited to a certain numbers of hours of sleep, no matter what, you want to make those hours the best they possibly can be. And that's what you can get from Magic Mind. So check it out. Link in the bio, magicmind.com/netheadsjan to take advantage of that 45% off the bundle. Man, you got to do it, because have help getting to sleep, have help getting your day going. I have had no caffeine since this morning, Tony. And listen to me, I'm shot out of a cannon. If that's not testimony enough about how well this stuff works, I don't know what is.
Okay, let me just say this.
Yes.
This is a testament from, like, we're talking about, like, going back the whole last year. When NetHeads started hitting a consistent, like, show weekly, it was because you were on Magic Mind. And it was like right around the time when you were like dealing with like stuff from the fall and everything else. Like, I saw a difference, and I told you about this offline. And now from observing that, I'm going to get on this one. So
magicmind.com/netheadsjan. But yeah, you're actually right, Tony. I know I talked about it a little bit, and lately I've been dealing not with issues. For those that aren't aware, if this is your first time ever listening to NetHeads, again, why? But almost a year ago, I had a really bad fall. My face is what broke my fall. And after that, I didn't heal right, and I had persistent post-concussive syndrome, I believe is the name of it. And I was having severe issues with recollection. I would get to 5 o'clock in the day, and honestly speaking, I became a raging asshole. I was so grumpy and so angry. And it was because I was just mentally exhausted, because honestly speaking, my brain was broken. During the time I was taking Magic Mind, however, and doing cognitive rehabilitation, I had better results, I had better energy, and I was starting to think clearly. So, I fully attribute that to Magic Mind during the worst times. That definitely gave us the drive, gave us the push, gave us the thing. So, Tony, way back a few minutes ago, I was getting back to a point where I was bringing up, we were together Saturday night doing a quick impromptu NetHeads, mostly for Zach. And it was us, because we're like, hey, TikTok just went down. Son of a gun, it happened. And then,
we almost didn't do NetHeads, because we were going to do NetHeads. We're like, let's not do that. Let's go live on TikTok, like as a final hurrah. I went live, was talking to some people, was doing a Lego build, and waiting for Will to get on. Will's like, what's happening? And all of a sudden my live ended, and then Will couldn't get in. So
yep.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yeah.
Now, 16 hours later, I texted Tony. Now, mind you, this is the embarrassing part, okay? I'm not proud of this. I shouldn't be proud of this. Saturday or Sunday morning. Well, what I was doing is I was going through a thing. I've trash talked Reels in the past, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I understand what happened. Because if you look at my Instagram, which is that Will Wilkins, if you look at it, you will see it's just a lot of little intermittent things. Bread photos, maybe the dog, might be something with my family, mostly bread, mostly dog, okay? Bread and dog. And the dog looks like a loaf of bread, so I see the correlation. I have, and I do not use Facebook. I hardly use Facebook. Maybe to sell something on Facebook Marketplace, stream this show live, maybe promote the show. Hardly ever. So Facebook and Meta know very little about me, okay?
Sure.
So what that means, when I look to Reels, I said, okay, well, TikTok is gone. I need a fix. What does Instagram Reels have for me? Instagram Reels doesn't know anything about me. So what they do, here is their approach. The content they shove at you is their recommended, which they go for what is most popular globally. Okay? And much in the same way we discussed your last name, Reels thought I was Middle Eastern, is all I can. They thought I was Middle Eastern or from Thailand. These are the things I can tell you. And that's why I'm like, Reels is garbage. Why would I do it? Nothing's curated. But they do have alternate views. You can just go to people you follow. So there's a feed of people you follow. Great way to keep up with them. You can give them traffic. Fabulous. You can also look at an alternate view of the things the people you follow liked. So that's a similar feed. But you just want to scroll the feed and do it and get what you want, right? I finally figured out how to fix it. It was to suddenly start liking and saying interested on every single video that my friends liked. Finally. So anyway, so what happened Sunday morning is I'm bouncing between trying to tell Reels that I live in California and I am, I'm just this weird dude that looks like the illegitimate child of Wilson Fisk, Kingpin from the MCU, and Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows. It's a miracle anybody follows me or watches me because that's who I am. So I'm trying to give it an idea about who I am, or I'm going over to YouTube Shorts and I'm going through those. A lot of things I follow, people I follow, not a lot of exposure to new content, but still an okay experience. As I would get out of an app and maybe look at the news or something, which also I've given up. I don't look at news anymore, Tony. I'm 22 again, I've decided. When I was 22, I didn't give a shit. Somehow everything got done. I'm going to try and do that again. But anyway, muscle memory of my thumb occasionally took me back into the TikTok app. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay. And then boom, I go here. I'm meaning to go to Instagram. My thumb hit TikTok. It's open again. 10 a.m. Pacific time. 10:06 a.m. Pacific time specifically. I'm like, well, first I was like, God damn it, I did it again. And then I was like, it's working.
Yeah.
What the hey? And then I texted you and you're like, my emotions can't handle this. And I'm like shocked. And yeah, service started coming back up and it's going and going.
I didn't actually believe my wife because she told me before you did. I'm like in bed just like scrolling through Reels like you were, not having a good time of it. And my kid runs in the room and goes, Dad, TikTok's back. I'm like, no, it's not, buddy. It's been shut down. And he's like, no, Mommy said. I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden I get a text from you and it's like, TikTok's back. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I didn't realize I trusted you over my family. But it was definitely one of those things where it's like, that was the shortest emotional trauma that we could go through. And then of course, like live functionality didn't work. You still can't download it in the app stores, which leads to another really interesting thing. Yeah.
That's a really good point. As a matter of fact, this whole TikTok ban, Apple of all people anticipated the public is definitely going to have an opinion on this. They're going to have some thoughts. And so they wrote for the first time ever an information article about an app that people pulled off. They pulled off the App Store and the reasons why, which I get. It's the exact same reasons why I knew that there would be without saving some type of outage because, and my whole point, like people are like, oh, this, whatever your conspiracy theories or what, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is just the simple fact that big corporations have attorneys on retainer. And when it comes to something like California or like federal law, unless they can expressly know they're not going to be liable, they're going to do whatever they have to do to ensure they're not.
Exactly.
So I understood completely services would go down. I had no doubt about that. And now we're living in a world where certain assurances have been given through an executive order, whether the authority is there to do it or not, but it is done. And so, Trump instructed the government not to basically take any action on this for 75 days.
Yep.
In the meantime, however, you can tell who's really got things at stake here. They got most of the services up and running. However, the two major players, the two things directly identified in the original law is the fact that it can't be present in the app stores, right?
Right.
They were expressly called out. Like people such as this will be fined, and I think 5,000 per person at some kind of increment. And at 170 million, I'm not going to do the math again, but when I heard the number, I just about crapped my pants. So I understand why they're not in the app store anymore.
Right. But that's the funny part, because the verbiage in the executive order was supposed to be one that it stated that any of the app stores and TikTok itself would not be fined retroactively once the ban does go into place if after 75 days something doesn't get resolved. And so they essentially could be in the app store, but I think that they're just not willing and they're not going to do it. And so
because like I said, they have these things called attorneys, and their attorneys are like, yeah, you know what? In the long run, what happens if he may say this via executive order? However, somebody else can go somewhere and they can file a lawsuit, at which point, once it's reverted and they say, well, what he did isn't the law, you're liable again. Their attorneys are like, no, until this has been unless Congress does something to repeal this ban,
which there is a bill in order right now specifically repealing it, because of course if you're not paying attention to the news like Will is, I'm just kidding, but if you didn't know how the ban came to play in the first place, it was paired up with a must needs Ukraine humanitarian aid bill. They couldn't pass one without the other. And instead of taking more time because the aid was so needed, they voted. And I get that, and I think that a lot of people misrepresented. So when you hear people saying, "Oh, it was a unanimous idea that this should happen," it's not. And so there is a bill that's kind of working its way through for the purpose of repealing that portion of the bill. And so we could see that happen. We may not see that happen. But again, it's not the worst thing that's happening right now. I think that it's something that affects a lot of people because TikTok is a community. It's a place where a lot of people talk and find commonality. And there is that fear of, okay, what's going to happen is somebody else going to take over TikTok and they're going to start doing more censorship? Or is it going to be something where it's not going to be the same algorithm and we're not going to see the same growth? Am I still going to be able to relate with my friends? Will they want to transfer over? Because, like, let's face it, I have 68,000 followers on TikTok. I only have 730 some followers on Instagram. I have no followers on Facebook because I ain't going there. So it's like, yeah, it's a big deal seeing all those followers go away. But at the same time, it's not the worst thing that's happening in our world right now. So,
yeah, that is very true. I do agree with you. There are really more important things to even care about. But at the same time, that's one of the two aspects that make it most interesting. I think one of the things that I had listened to when I listened to the Supreme Court argument, there was a point, I believe, in there that was brought up. That I don't think they had brought as their full argument, because they were talking about freedom of speech being impeded.
Right.
infringed upon. And the other thing that was brought up during that argument, though, was that this was just straight up the law. We're banning it. Can't be in the app stores. No services done unless they've divested themselves of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But one of the things that even the Supreme Court justices had brought up is, well, you could put in a warning label on the app that when it opens, it has to say that. And which is a good point in the sense that when Congress passes a law like this, there is something in the law. And I'm sorry I'm paraphrasing. And really, I don't believe I'm repeating propaganda here. But if I am, oops. Congress's action was not the minimum action it could take. It was the most extreme. And
Right.
they're supposed to properly vet and have hearings and do things to determine what the right action is. But they are supposed to take the least impactful action, at which this clearly doesn't. And that was a very good argument that was brought up that I'm like, okay, well, that was kind of missed on. But the other thing, too, the important thing to remember, yeah, we're all a bunch of addicts. And all of us that are upset that it's gone, it's because we've got a larger following there than we had anywhere else, which was the beauty of TikTok, okay? Like in the last couple of weeks before the app was taken down and has come back, but really has it come back? If it's not in the app stores, it can't be updated. So now we're living in that zombie realm they talked about when they didn't think that the third-party service providers would shut down the services that support the app.
Well, it just means we're not going to get the same filters as the rest of the world right now. That's
But look, when it comes down to security, but in the weeks that led up to it, there was a girl who apparently did two things. She was baking bread with her starter Eloise, and she was trying to make gut-healthy mushrooms for her sister. And this was one of those things. I think the last time I saw something like this was Keith Lee. Before that, it was Call Me Chris, realistically speaking, where you saw somebody like, and naturally, because I'm a numbers addict, I'm looking at how many followers somebody has when I notice they've come up in my FYP, the For You page, a few times. Yeah. And at the first look, 200,000. When the app shut down, she was at 1.2 million followers.
Yeah.
TikTok in many ways is the American store. It's the idiom of everyone gets their 15 minutes of fame, but also anyone can become popular in going through by going viral. The Haktua girl. Let's not get into all the rest of the stuff, but again, that's an example.
Goodness, yes.
And it just
she even had a
part
line in Spirit Halloween, so
I know.
She had her 15 minutes.
I'm serious, but you know it. And granted, I think even from what I would call the medium popular creators, the 1 million plusers, they would even kind of say, yeah, you know, realistically speaking, it's like following just stopped growing and it's just somehow been maintaining around a certain level for the past year and a half, because it's true, the app has changed. My whole point, though, is that it's a place where people could have followers, and it's a place that they could actually generate an income. I know several people. Look, TikTok for me, it, as I mentioned in the last show during our therapy session, it's just my look at me thing where I actually I can get some popularity. I can get the serotonin from looking at those numbers coming in. You know, I'm happy. Never did I count on making money from it. Never did I try. But there are people that replace their incomes. This is an app that actually contributes to the gross domestic product. It puts money into the GDP. Okay, so it's no joke, especially when I think it's estimated that maybe half of the people on the app, so of that half of 170 million, are generating income through TikTok. You know, it's one of those things where it seems like it's too big to go away, but unless they repeal, it is.
It's so funny.
Your closing thoughts on this? Because really, I feel like the zeitgeist horse is saying enough already. I'm dead. Stop beating me. But go ahead.
No, I will tell you, like, TikTok has had one of the most existential experiences for me, and it's because even with 68,000 followers, just throw that number out there. That's not a big following when you think of 1.3 million or whatever else. But I have had people stop me in real life and say, hey, are you Mr. Marvelite? And even with my new job, I had mentioned about doing products, which that's what I love about TikTok, is doing product reviews. I was asked like, what's your handle on TikTok? And I hesitated at first, and I'm like, don't really like crossing the streams, but I'll go ahead and tell you. And then one of the people over was like, oh my word, you have been coming across my FYP. I thought you looked familiar. And so one of my, coworkers knows of me from scrolling through TikTok herself. And it's one of those things where it makes you feel in some way special. And I get that we may or may not ever see something like it again. And if it goes away, yes, it is going to leave a hole. It's not the end of the world, but ultimately, I really feel like it's one of those things where people have always said they want people to be more mobilized, informed, being more active civically. And TikTok provided that platform. And regardless of what people think about it, or, I hear entitled people stories about people doom scrolling on TikTok. TikTok has done a service, and yeah,
Look,
we'll
man,
see what
don't
happens.
shoot that 68,000 down, because here's the other thing I love about it. Yes, I have made a few shekels here and there. Hardly anything through any product I've ever advertised. I had a few brand creator deals, direct ones, not through the app, not through the TikTok store. And I made look, man, any amount of money is not something you turn your nose at, but in excess of $1,000 last year, I made through silly product videos. But most importantly, I also got the products, which for me was payment enough. I'm like, give me this.
Exactly.
Kate, now, case and point, if you did more 3D printing content, I know of 2 creators with a smaller following than you, and each one of them got the new Anycubic 3D printer that also came with its color engine, whatever it was called, where it could do 4 different colors at the same time. They got the printers for free, and they made a commission on sales. Again, and they had less followers. I was approached too. They passed on me. I'm just saying, again, when the ability to get free products, give me something free. I don't want to say what I'll give you, but I'll be happy.
Right.
Clearly, I will talk about things, especially if I like a product. For example, this weekend we are going to another dance competition. Tomorrow, I will be going to a hotel in Santa Clara, and I will be bringing with me the Anchor iPad dock. It collapses down to a square. It expands. The iPad can rest on top of it. It gives you an HDMI out from your iPad. So as long as you have hotel internet, you're watching whatever you want to watch. You're not stuck with whatever they're offering. Your hotel TV is you. It's all the movies you want to watch, the shows you want to binge. Bam. I got the product for free. I had to do one video. I didn't make nothing off of it. I still got the dock. I'm happy. Just that easy.
Oh yeah. Listen, one of my favorite deals from last year was the Arzopa monitors. Those nice little portable monitors. And with my work, I use a digital phone. And so I was going from the software that we're using to having to swap between the web browser where the digital phone was. I said, that's it. I got approval from IT. I brought one of the Arzopa monitors. I have a little digital telephone through the Arzopa monitor right next to me, so I don't have to worry about having to share a screen with anything. You realize like there are so many amazing products. Like literally, I got one in the mail today. So it's one of those things where it's an amazing platform because there's so much going on. I remember people complained so much about the TikTok shop when it first came out, but it's worth it. There's a lot of cool stuff. It's like living. It's it is there. I don't know if you ever got stuck on this side of TikTok. It's there were the gadgets that were like from Chinese couples. Like it would be like the guy holding the girl's hair and the girl cuts her hair off, and then she pulls all these boxes that she bought like ordering online, and it's like things like tissue holders and shoe racks and stuff. That is the TikTok shop now, and I absolutely love it.
I'm glad. I'm glad it's working for you. The weird thing too, God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk about TikTok this long. Got all these other topics. I mean, they're even in the show description.
Right.
But seriously, the other weird thing is that once it came back, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's more like my FYP is more like the 2022 FYP at a minimum, or even heck late 2020. I'm seeing a lot. I've seen a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. Yeah, sure. There's a following tab. I could have gone to that. Yeah, sure. There's also a friends tab. You can go to that. But, you want to scroll across the FYP because that's where you get the funny, dumb stuff as well, the new entertainment. But I will say, as a final thought on this, yes, it was a TikTok video, but Hank Green, I think, had the best point, which, is something I said on the last show we did. Well, I was looking, I can't wait for all the shit I'm going to get done now because TikTok is gone. But that's one angle. That's one thing that really should have put it in perspective. But the other is something Hank Green said, which is, when it comes to stuff like this, we've got to reframe our thinking. Stop freely giving your attention away. Stop letting someone else tell you what you're supposed to be seeing and just focus your attention where it needs to be. Take your attention back. So, in a way, he's saying, let's stop with this type of scrolling through an app for quick, immediate. Because realistically speaking, guys, we're all hamsters going to a pellet dispenser, right? We're trying to get a little bit more. We're trying to get, or drinking from the water bottle. We're just another drop, another drop, another drop. And we go away and we run back another drop, another drop. That's what we are. I would equate it to look, TikTok is cigarettes. And when you smoke, you're not really smoking a cigarette. Okay. It's smoking. You're the sucker.
Exactly. Now, what's cool is there's a cool community. And let me ask you, Will, since TikTok, how many times do people tag you or share videos with you of new robots that are coming out?
All the damn time. But I think that would have happened anyway, just from the podcast as well. Which, by the way, that's the whole reason why I got into TikTok. And what a great job I've done pushing the podcast there. But I think, in many ways, I think podcasts are just white noise now. Which is the whole reason why, another aspect of live, why it's done here on YouTube as a video show and all the other places where video streaming, because it's a product now. It's not even your podcast isn't a podcast, it's a brand. And so your brand needs to go out as many ways. You need to get as many eyeballs on stuff as you can. magicmind.com/netheadsjan. You need to, you know what I mean? You need to get attention everywhere. So, and thankfully we've been on that curve, but, yeah, man, a lot of things. Now, let me ask you a question then, Tony. Thank you for what we call an excellent segue, which that was masterful. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody's dropping science. A master class is happening before your eyes and you're not paying attention. Let me ask you a question, because over my shoulder, we talked about him very briefly. Him. I'm assigning a gender. I don't care anymore. The Louie robot is behind me. Hey, Louie. How are you feeling? I don't know if it can hear me back here. But the Louie robot is back there, which is one that uses a smartphone. And it controls its base. And again, it's app-based. The thing I did not anticipate, which I really should have just thought of, because it's an app on a smartphone. You know, the things it can do with the display are limitless compared to these other robots, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
The actual resolution within those little mini screens is crazy.
Zach seems to think that he set me in Insta about the Butterbot, but it wasn't until a TikTok said I should get one that I bit the bullet. That's not true. The moment I
said it to him too.
Yeah, see, Tony sent the Butterbot to me too. I was sent Dolly by people. I was sent Louie back here behind us. That was one of them. First of all, I have to ask you the question, Tony. And mind you, you may think I'll even give you this shot, but not the whole story. Let me ask you, because I admit I have a problem. This is pointless, okay? And I say that because I built an entire shelf for the robots, and now I'm finding it's not enough. I'm pondering moving my shield and creating another over here. I have a problem. I admit it, okay? I'm just getting them to have them. I like them. But how many, I can't believe I'm willing to both ask you this question and answer it. How many robots do you think I own right now taking away plain technology. No, Roombas or anything
Okay.
like that. Okay. How many do you
Okay.
think?
All right. So I know you've got 2 emos. You have 2 active vectors. I think you have one that you haven't pulled out. You have your daughter's robot. You have another robot that you got, I think, off of a Kickstarter. And then you've got the new one. So I'm thinking between like 7 or 8. That's my number.
Okay. Here's the rundown. You were close on some. Emo got sent back for, again, what? It's a chorus of them. And they're so annoying. They make so many noises. Noise.
Right.
The emo robot went back for warranty work, okay?
Okay.
Or not warranty. It was getting replaced. I got sent to replacement. But then, like 6 to 8 months later, U.S. Customs, for some reason, hadn't passed through. It came back to me. Okay? So, I have the 2 vector robots. I have 3 emo robots. I
Okay.
have 2 Ortomi block robots, which are back there.
Oh, I forgot about those.
I have Louie. And as you mentioned on the ground, I have my daughter's Luna, which is a free runner, which I don't let it free run because the cables still aren't properly managed on my desk. That's 9. I have 9 frickin' robots.
And you got one coming at least. 2
There's the Dolly, which is I'm excited about because it runs off a Raspberry Pi and also comes with software to use plain language programming to customize what it does. And I've got the Butterbot. I have backed the Butterbot as well, which is, again, the prototype. It looks like the most unstable robot in the world. And I don't mean like it's too fidgety or has, problems. I mean like its base versus its top. It's just top heavy with a poor center of gravity.
Let me tell you, I don't know if it's because you rubbed off on me. You can't see it right now because it's right off screen. Well, no, it's right there. I have the Sphero BB-8 robot, which is Sphero does not have a license for Star Wars anymore. So the only way I was able to do it was I got an old broken Kindle Fire, and I downloaded the actual like package file for the remote control, so I can still control it via Bluetooth. But it doesn't do any of the cool stuff where it used to like follow you and all that other stuff. I almost ended up buying the R2D2 Sphero, but after dealing with the BB-8, BB-8's just better looking like a 6 scale, replica.
When it comes down to it, Tony, you have a 3D printer. That means you could start building your own R2D2, believe it or not. It can be done. As a matter of fact, I saw an entire 3D printed car the other day. It's amazing what you can do with 3D printing, but I have too many robots, and soon I'm going to have to remodel to have more space, because I also find combining robot types into a little finite space doesn't work, because one way or another they get in each other's way, and then you got to have stupid Jersey dividers like I've got back here. And right now the emo's trying to wander around while the Louie is back there, and it's a horrible frickin' mess, man. But, there are hazards to robot ownership, because functionality only exists as long as the technology to support it does. DDL,
Exactly.
the people currently that own the IP of Vector, have had server issues for the longest time. Once again, I haven't brought them up to full functionality because of making content, because I've got one that I'm going to take and use on the servers they say they've got up and running, and the other one I'm going to set up on my own home escape pod server. So that way I just have a simple Android box controlling it, so they could still function. The people behind the cloud services for emo, if they were to go away, the emos get dumb. And recently, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was a very expensive AI robot called Moxie that was a companion for children. And in the past couple of weeks, we had seen small children crying because they got the news that the company behind Moxie lost their funding.
Yep.
They no longer would be in operation, and eventually Moxie would stop running, which, made these kids really sad. But it's a reality with cloud services. Somebody's got to fit the bill.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the thing. Like Moxie was a it was before its time. It was extremely intuitive. There was an app on the phone where parents could be like, okay, Billy's gonna have a dental appointment and he has anxiety about dental appointments. So I'm gonna let Moxie know. And then Moxie like prepares them in advance for that. And it's a lot of social emotional learning. And I at one point I thought about getting it for my kid, but the subscription monthly was so prohibitively expensive, it wasn't worth it. As nice as it was almost like leasing a car, basically, at that point.
Damn.
So,
Yeah, that's why I never did it. But there are still, believe it or not, there are still other ones less expensive than some of the ones I got that I could also get. And one of them is just, it does not move around. It is a desktop pet, literally, in a charging station. I can't remember the name of it, but it also would interact with others. So you could have multiple of them and create your own annoying chorus like I have with the emo robots. But you know what, man? Don't do it, guys. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. That's the important lesson to take away here.
slippery
Don't do
slope.
it. Don't get involved in it, because you know what it all is. It's just the Star Trek, Star Wars kid has grown up, and so that's why I can tell a device to turn on and off lights all around my house. It's why I want little robot friends. Okay, it's because I want my own R2-D2, and I still haven't gotten one. That's all it is. I want to be able to talk to computers. I expect to work on a tablet. All this stuff. I'm a tech addict, and it's because I'm so damn impressionable, and media owes me money.
That's the thing. The first thing I did when I bought an iPad, when I first had the ability to get one, and I mean, this is like early on, I downloaded the LCARS app, which is literally the interface for the computer from Next Generation.
Mm-hmm. Which is one of the coolest interfaces you'll ever find.
Oh, absolutely. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything
No.
really helpful.
I had it side loaded on an iPhone back when I would actually have the balls to jailbreak them. Not anymore. Now everything's standard. Which, by the way, I missed an opportunity. Missed the opportunity to put the Busy Box on.
Oh, no. But what I was going to say was, the only thing was like you get the LCARS on your iPad.
That's what the sign outside the door says right now.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't do nothing. But I'm sure there are later iterations that eventually did. Now, writing on the wall, though, Tony, if somebody hasn't created a new LCARS app with GPT integration.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right? Think about it. Oh, man. There's something right there. There's an opportunity. Giving you that one for free, everybody. Run with it.
Oh, yeah.
Take it, damn it.
Drink it with some Earl Grey tea.
Hot.
Yes.
And I don't mean sexy. I mean Earl Grey tea hot. That's how you're supposed to say it. There you go. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Live long and prosper, Tony. Live long and prosper. Hey, I got to ask a question because I feel like with everything going on, you haven't been keeping up on the whole Skeleton Crew of things. Did you watch it yet?
I have been watching it. I think I'm one episode away from finishing it. Spoilers for anybody who's seen it. I'm at the point where they've made it back to Adam, and the kids are kind of hostage with Jude Law's character.
Yes. Okay. So that was the penultimate.
Yeah.
So you got the finale to watch. Look, it should come as no surprise, okay, that Adam gets discovered by the last episode, okay?
Yeah.
The moment all these people are coming and going, everybody's got an idea the news is out. And you saw, spoilers, what was really at stake. Adam is a completely automated planet controlled by a droid that is the supervisor, and it was the Old Republic's mint, right? And so...
And what a minute it was.
And it's just been making, okay, Old Republic credits this whole time. So literally, it would be like finding a giant treasure trove. Yeah. My question, this is where I go. This is where my stupid brain goes.
it's
By the
probably
way,
exactly where I'm going because I want to hear this now.
I love the Skeleton Crew concept. I love what they did. This was some of the best Star Wars I've seen in a long time again. It's like first season Mandalorian, kind of fun.
This does a family friendly version of Star Wars that the Ewok movies could never do.
True, very true. Not to mention, it really presents to us an excellent example of how you can have things happen in the Star Wars universe and they aren't reliant on like the Skywalker saga, or, it's not completely dependent on having Jedis. You don't need these things. They're just there. Anyway, gigantic treasure trove, something like 1,100 vaults that just were gigantic warehouses of credits. My question: do you think the value of the Old Republic credit comes from the metal that it's made from? Because if not, if it's just a symbol of something, finding that much of that type of money at once, in my mind, does that cause an economic collapse of the value of the Old Republic credit? That's where my dumb brain goes.
No, I was like, I was sitting there going, I probably should look up on the internet and see if Star Wars Theory starts complaining about, oh no, they introduced inflation in Star Wars. Like, this is horrible. Like that's where I was thinking about it. Like, I do think it has to do with the actual material, because I think there was one scene where they bid it. So it's definitely kind of like that gold type, like that. It's treasure. It's literally treasure. And then it's also the fact of it's the condition of it, and it's got the Old Republic emblem. But once that stuff hits circulation, that's part of the problem for Star Wars. Like, I want to know where this kind of fits in everything.
I don't think it does. I think it's completely off to the side. Originally, I was like, oh, so this is how Palpatine, by the time you get to the Rise of Skywalker, how he has built a gigantic fleet, how he's been able to afford it, how all this work has been done.
That would be terrible.
That's what I thought. But no, I don't think it's related to that at all. And I think what happens, like what we don't see, is like after this, the New Republic is just like, yeah, this is all kinds of bad. You guys have been going well. We're going to go ahead and repair that droid for you and help you with that whole barrier thing you had. And we'll call it good, huh? Because how also, if you look at it, how interesting is it that when you take politics out of the picture, because really, sadly, Star Wars is a gigantic story about politics. Right. But if you take politics out of the equation, okay, and you have a civilization that is run by the organized mind of a droid, that's how you finally get the suburbs in Star Wars. And notice it's like it's an entire well-oiled functioning society. Everyone has their role. Everyone, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Look how good they had life, even though they were sitting on top of probably that galaxy's largest pool of wealth. They really weren't spending it outside, and they were just living a well-oiled machine life. I thought that was amazing. Wrong takeaway, I'm sure, but hey. So these robots are going to help get me organized. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and here's the other thing that I thought I was thinking about. Like, they introduced something in the Skeleton Crew that is like not something that we've seen in Star Wars before with the droids. Mm-hmm. If you've ever remember, whenever a droid was being either decommissioned or recommissioned, it was always wiped. We saw in this show where they were just telling the droids to forget things. Yeah. And that was I thought that was the funniest thing, because it's like, why didn't anybody ever think about that until now? Like, just
I don't know.
To wipe it.
But I will say that is one of the things I'm glad I called, because the moment the robot seemed to with SME, SM33, the minute 33 seems jammed up and says, he keeps saying, I can't say nothing about, essentially it was, I can't say nothing of no ad-aden, a double negative, which means a positive. He could say something about ad-aden, but is being prevented from saying something about ad-aden. Yeah. Neither here nor there. Literally actually, that's not true. Jude Law's nature, I kind of called too. I'm like, you know what? He ain't this. One of them found him, though, started to show him some stuff, and then something bad happened. And that's why when things started to get good, he put everyone at a distance. Excuse me for the hiccups. Don't know why that's happening. But yeah, Skeleton Crew was good. I'm glad to hear you got to see that. We gotta wrap this up. I gotta be done. So one of them found him.
down
though,
here
Star- myself. That's smart. I think that's it. I don't think we need to bring up any other topics. But don't forget, guys. First of all, Tony, thank you once again for joining me. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that intro.
Hey, no problem. Because I was going to say, this is the last time I'm thanking you for it, because your name's in the goddamn intro now. We're done with that nonsense. I'm going to abuse you the same way I abuse the other guy. That's how it is now. Deal with it.
All right, I'll take it.
But to everybody that watched live, thank you very much. To everybody listening after the fact, watching after the fact, thank you very much. Special thanks again to Patreon supporter of the week, Mark Wright. If you want to find out more, patreon.com/netheadsoner. And that's it. Don't forget, guys, Magic Mind. You got the Wake and what I like to call the Wake and Sleep bundle, which is you get Magic Mind Sleep. Get up to 40% off the combo. Nethead or magicmind.com/netheadsjan. Invest in your mental wealth this year because it's so important. Until next time, my name is Will.
And I'm Tony.
And we'll be back soon-ish kind of thing. Okay? Fine.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Tony Abdullah.
Goodbye.
Signing off. I know. Stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads will be back soon.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Smodcast production. Smodcast Podcast, using our mouths on you since 2007.
Come on, man. What did you think? Did you think I
felt
wasn't
the
going to go
family.
out strong as well?
Oh yeah.
You look
I
so
love it.
amused. I was so
I
pleased.
just, like I said, I feel like a part of the family now.
Okay.
Kevin Smith will know me one day.
Yes. Well, now we're going to have to tell you how much the VIG is. I'll let you know how much you need to contribute in. If you're part of the family, that means there's a percentage. So careful what you wish for, kids.